Joe Blaettler, one of Union City Mayor and State Senator Brian Stack's oldest enemies, has filed an IRS complaint claiming that the Brian P. Stack Civic Association should not be granted 501c3 nonprofit organization status.
Blaettler filed a complaint with the IRS on February 25, 2012, and subsequently received a response from the government agency stating that they were reviewing the matter. As Oldie Hudson County View reported, the complaint was mentioned in 3 of the 5 Hudson County Superior Court lawsuits filed by Union City police officers alleging that cops must donate to the Brian Stack Civic Association to get promoted. Blaettler said he originally planned on waiting for the IRS to make a decision on the matter before making it public, but agreed to speak with us on the subject after the lawsuits have been released. He says given that the Civic Association is heavily involved in politics and clearly supports Stack as a political candidate, the organization's 501c3 status should be revoked. 501c3 organizations are formed for religious, charitable, scientific, literary, or educational purposes and are eligible for federal and state tax exemptions.
I filed a complaint with the IRS regarding the Brian P. Stack Civic Association. And basically, when you have a not-for-profit organization, you have to fill out certain forms with the federal government declaring your not-for-profit status. And one of the questions they ask you is, are you directly or indirectly involved in supporting candidates? And when I looked at the Brian P. Stack Civic Association filings, they stated they are not involved in directly or indirectly supporting a candidate, which I don't particularly buy. I believe the Civic Association is heavily involved in politics in Union City. It's an arm of Brian Stack's political machine, and at the end of the day, Union City first and the Brian P. Stack Civic Association is one and the same.
Blaettler says proof that the entity is political can be found in who sits on the Civic Association board. According to the 2013 tax return and public records, the 7 trustees of the Brian Stack Civic Association combined for salaries that total a whopping $673,265 in mostly City Hall and Board of Education jobs. Blaettler says the number is just over $942,000 when including immediate family members of the trustees.
They were all appointed to that board by Brian Stack or his people. The other example is, in 2015, Brian Stack transferred $75,000 from Union City First into the Brian P. Stack Civic Association. So clearly we have a transfer of money between the two organizations.
He also drew a parallel between Stack and former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick, who was serving a 17-year jail sentence for bribery and fraud charges. The indictment alleged that Kilpatrick used monies from his civic fund to pay for personal expenses.
There's also been other transfers of money back and forth between the two organizations. 3 of the members on the current board loaned Brian Stack money when he ran for Senate. So I believe there's direct and indirect contact between the Civic Association and Brian P. Stack, which I believe to be illegal. A couple years ago in Detroit, the same exact thing took place. The mayor of Detroit had a civic association, and there was some suspicious activity with his organization. There was an investigation, and there was a 39-count indictment came out. Part of that involved his civic association. He's currently sitting in jail doing 17 years. So my hope is that the FBI, the IRS will come in and they will take a close look at the Brian P. Stack Civic Association to make sure everything is being done legally.
Blaettler said the allegations of the suit sound like the status quo and that this isn't the first time a charge of this nature has been made.
It sounds legit to me. I mean, coming from Union City, it's the status quo there. It's pay to play. I mean, if you recall, a couple years ago, the Hudson County Democratic Organization sent out a flyer about Brian Stack, and basically they stated that if you don't contribute to his campaigns, you get punished. And there was some federal lawsuits over that. So, I mean, I'm not the only one making this allegation. The Hudson County Democratic Organization made the same allegation several years ago, and they sent flyers out throughout the county alleging the same type of abuses by Brian Stack.
Stack did not return calls seeking comment on Wednesday.
John Heides with the Hudson County View, the eye of the community.